Okay, we're live. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this Facebook Live. This is the voice on the face of Dr. Tolu Olabinto, the CEO and the co-founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center here in Mansfield, Texas, where we help our patients live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. I'm very excited to be with you today to give you or to have another discussion in line with what we believe. And the topic today is, Doc, how can I improve my overall well being? I want to live my best life. I am very excited to have on as guest Dr. Sandra Luyindula. I hope I did her name justice, but I'll bring her on. But before I bring her on, I'm going to ask a favor. If you know there are people who should be watching this, please tag them in the comments, forward this link to them, have them watch it live with you. And as always, we welcome questions live and we'll try to answer as many as possible. These conversations are done with you in mind. And if you're live, feel free to let us know so we can give you a shout out. So I'm going to bring our guest on. Hi, Dr. Sandra
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning.
Luyindula. Did I say that right?
You got it.
Okay, all right, awesome. So awesome, Doc. Thank you so much for coming to do this so
Thank
early
you
in
for
the morning.
having
We
me.
appreciate you. And that being said, could you please kindly introduce yourself? Who are you, Doc, and what do you do?
Yes, my name is Dr. Sandra Luyindula. I am lovely called Dr. L by most of my patients. And I am a family medicine and lifestyle medicine physician here in South Carolina. But we also see patients in Georgia, North Carolina, and Indiana as well. We added aesthetics to our practice, but our main goal, our main focus is really to reach a little deeper with our patients' population and provide the best care so they can live the best life.
Awesome. And you're also the CEO and founder of the Well MD in
I
Greenville.
am.
That's awesome. Now, why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do?
Yes,
The, I could have so many answers to that question, but um, I do what I do because I went to medicine to provide care by forging relationship with my patient. However, that was very difficult in the fee-for-service model. And
mm,
so when I was introduced to a DPC, which is direct primary care model, in 2019, which is a model that does not accept insurance, um, but yet provide affordable and accessible care for
mm.
patients, I found myself to be the type of physician that I always wanted to be. Then when I was called to open a medical practice, I saw the potential to reach even more lives by providing access and affordable care. So I do what I do because one, I love it, and two, it's really what I'm called to do.
Yeah, awesome. And I love the fact that you speak four different languages. You speak Spanish, you can communicate Spanish, Creole, Swahili, English, of course, French, Lingala, and Tetela. Where's that from?
So, languages
Yeah.
fluently, I'll speak four. Not so fluently, I will dabble in a few others, enough to be intimidating. So that could bring us up to about 10, just enough to be dangerous. And so, my parents are from Congo, Central Africa.
Okay.
I was born there as well. And so, main languages were French, and then Tetela was my parent language. Lingala is another national language to speak. Then I had to learn English. Um, and then just, with patients and population that we serve over time, and then my love for languages and Latin root, it was a little easier to add Spanish to that. Um, my Spanish community is very excited when I speak Spanish, but I think it's too broken, but they don't. So I just continue to speak it.
Awesome.
Um,
I
but
love
yeah,
it.
that's where all those languages come from.
I love it. You're multifaceted. I love it. All right, Doc. We're talking improving overall well-being, and we have people
Yes.
who are watching who are like, "Well, I want to improve my well-being." But in your own terms, Doc, what does well-being actually mean?
That's an interesting term, right? So I'll start with the term being. Just forget the well, no pun intended here. We had the well MD, but being, um, it's as a human being, we are made up of our mind, body, and soul. And so it's important to understand that your thought and your feeling will influence your physical body, but yet also that your physical well-being also affect your thought processes. And so we are spiritual being, but living in a body with a mind, right? So a well-being means that we find balance in all those three components. That's not always easy. That's not always a piece of cake to achieve. But for me, well-being is when I can find balance in all those three dimensions.
Awesome. And why is that important?
It is important because, again, I need to balance my physical body with my spiritual body, right? So if my thought process is affected, then my body will also be affected with sickness and disease. And if my body is affected, then my thought process, such as depression, anxiety, will also play a part in our body. So overall, that's what I call an imbalance, because
Mhm.
then, I affect one side and the other suffers, and vice versa.
Awesome. So they're all interconnected. One
Yes,
can affect the other. So it's important that there's a balance of all three parts
yes,
for optimal quality and quantity of life. We want people to live long, but live long and well.
correct.
Well again. Okay, that's good. All right. So let's start talking tips. What are things that we can do, let's say, to improve our well-being when it comes to our physical, our bodies? Quick tips, easy to do, actionable steps, doc. We don't want to feel overwhelmed. So if you say like, okay, I got a few minutes a day, I want to start to do this, what would you say are the first maybe few three steps to take when it comes to physical well-being?
Yeah, so our body, you are what you eat. You've heard that said multiple times, right? So a healthy, balanced diet plays a good role. And for me and my household, what helps us is meal prepping, right? And that can be intimidating for most people or for some, but we meal prep in my house. That way, that minimizes the quick, unhealthy decisions that we have to make throughout the week because we are wondering what to eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner when we get home. And so that's a simple tip to start implementing, even if it's just one meal a day that you plan ahead of time. So I do it on a weekly basis, so then I don't have to worry about food for the whole week. But yours may just be 1 day or 2 days at a time. And then the other one is just physical activity, right? So how do I add physical activity to my daily life, even if it's just walking 30 minutes a day, anything to help, because as you work out, then you sharpen your mind as well. So your body, again, is still connected to that mind.
Mm. All right. So you talked about meal prepping, and I'm sure I've lost some patience with this. Like, doc, I don't have time to meal prep. Could you talk more about why meal prepping, the time spent in doing that batching, because that's what you're doing,
Yes.
is worth the inconvenience?
So I don't actually see it as an inconvenience because for me, kitchen is like uh, it's my territory.
Good for you. I'm like, nah, no, that's you. No. But
Yes.
those who are watching was like, doc, come on, help me understand how this is going to help me.
Yes. So, for example, you spend 3 hours in the kitchen, 3 or 4 hours meal prepping. And by meal prepping, for me, it's not just chopping and storing. For me, it's actually cooking. The food and the meal is ready. And it's not just, one dish. It's four, five, six, seven different meals or dishes that then people can pick and choose the combination that they want throughout the week. But that 3 to 4 hours saves us 20 plus hours a week, because then I don't have to worry about, we have three young children. So then I don't have to worry about what is that kid eating when he gets or she gets from school, and what's for dinner when I get home and I'm tired. And then you get home and you wonder, with your spouse on the phone asking, what do you want to eat today? I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. And then you spend 2 hours in the grocery store trying to figure it out, just to get home and realize you forgot that one ingredient because you have this recipe you wanted to make. And so that's just so much time wasted for me that it's worth 3 to 4 hours one day, 3 to 4 hours solid, to make up for that whole week.
I gotta because this has been a game changer for me. Because sometimes you hear these things in theory, like yeah, meal prep, and sometimes we don't practice what we preach. But
Yes.
as I've been doing that painstakingly and getting the family involved to help too, so not just you
Yes.
by yourself, you actually save time down the line, and it applies in every area of your life. If you batch things, it takes that when you're doing it the hours, you're like, oh boy, but you save yourself time, you're
Yeah.
more efficient, and it carries over. So I want to encourage those who are watching, please listen to what Dr. Sandra is saying. Very, very important to meal prep.
Yes.
Now let's talk exercise. I have people who are watching like, well, good for you that you have time to go exercise, but I work long hours. I'm not able to do the 30-minute of exercise. What would you say to that person? Because that's an obvious hiccup.
It is.
How do we get ourselves to exercise the 30 minutes a day?
Break it up, right? You don't have to do straight 30 minutes. You have 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, break it up, right? So you've heard it said often over and over again. You park in your car, park a little further and walk. Take the stairs instead of the elevator if you can, right? And for my patient who absolutely cannot, I even tell them to get cans of beans or food, whatever they have, gallons of water. If you're sitting there and you can't possibly get up for multiple reasons, back or knee injuries or whatnot, lift weights, use some band exercise, whatever it is you have available to you, even if it's 5 minutes increment. By the time you add it up, you are 10 minutes or 30 minutes. Or I tell my patient, you're watching TV at night, it's commercial break. Get up and walk around your house or your living room and wait for the next, for the show to restart again, if that's what you're doing. But I think it, it, I learned over time that for what we want to make time for, we will. And it's just as I don't want to say as simple as that, but for what we want, we will make time. And exercise, sometimes it's not something we want to do, but we kind of have to do it. And so break it up, 5 to 10 minutes increment if you can, and just do something. Just be as active as you possibly can. Start somewhere.
I love it. Move, people. Let's move. Do it at
Yes.
work. Try to incorporate it into what you do. Taking steps at work, on
Yes.
the desk, little stepper thingies that you have so you can work on their time. But please, you said something very important. Well, you said many things very important, but one of the things you said, you make time for what's important. The truth is, this is a non-negotiable as we get older.
Yes.
Your body needs movement to stay moving. So it's a non-negotiable. So I want to encourage you to put it a little bit higher on your priority list.
And
Thank you.
Dr. Tolu, you said to live longer. Exercise actually has been proven. It helps you live longer, right? If you're sedentary, you tend to die a little earlier than those who are not. So keep moving.
Yes, let's move it. All right, now let's talk. We talked about body. We talked about the two things. Let's talk our mental health. What are tips to live in for improving our well-being when it comes to mental health? We want simple, doc, and we want actionable. We don't want to be overwhelmed.
Simple and actionable.
Yes,
Uh, Mental health is very important. We have to operate at our best, and our mind can be our restriction. And so actionable, don't do life alone. As simple as that, right? So it has been proven that connecting with others is great for your mental health. It can be a spiritual connection, it can be a church going, it can be friends and family connecting. And we have seen during the pandemic, because we lack that connection, that mental health cases have increased significantly. And so as simple as this, don't isolate yourself, connect with other and seek help. So I can start there. And of course, we talked about exercise, which increases your feel good hormones to your brain and makes you feel great. And so that's another way to incorporate small things.
awesome, awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about and I want to encourage someone who's watching who says, well, yeah, I've tried the, don't isolate yourself, but people hurt my feelings. I know
Mhm.
this is a little off topic, but I've had that come back as a rebuttal. That yeah, people disappoint you, people hurt you.
Yeah.
For someone who's watching, Doc, do you have any tips on that? Because you mentioned something very important that community helps people thrive. So having a support system, having that's critical for true well-being. Any tips to overcome such hurdles, Doc?
My pastor, I've heard him say something once. He said, anyone you love, you're giving permission to hurt you.
Mm,
So, because when you build that community, some people you bring close, and the closer you bring, you give them permission to hurt you. They can hurt you the most, but that should negate the fact that you have people who will not hurt you, right? So you can be hurt, and it's true, and sometimes we can hurt others, um, but does that limit our ability to continue to give or to continue to live well? It shouldn't. Let's try not to get um, stuck in that memory, that hurt and that pain that we're not open to giving and receiving again. It will happen over and over again, more than once. But guess what we do? We get up and we keep going because you're not doing it for that person who hurt you. You're doing it for yourself.
Wow. Wow. That is profound. To give and repeat, to receive, we got to keep doing it.
Yes.
Community, community, community. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. My next question is on work-life balance. Now, this has been known to be important in maintaining overall well-being because, as we know, ironically, we spend a lot of time awake with the people we work with. For those who work mostly full
Yes.
time, we agree doing the math. We spend a lot of time, majority of time, with the people we work with. And so, how can we establish a good work life? Any tips for good work life balance that supports our overall well being, Doc? Any tips on that?
I'm still learning some of that myself.
Me
Um,
too.
and so, as we talked, as Dr. Tolu said earlier, I'm a CEO and founder of the Well MD, which means, and so that she, Living Spring. So, having a practice or a business of your own, work-life balance can easily get scrambled. And so I'm learning that myself as well. But something I've learned was to learn to disconnect, right? There is a time where I say, no, this is it, right? This is when I need to sit with my family a little bit. I need to sit with my children just a bit more. And I'll finish it when they go to bed, or I'll finish it a bit later. And then delegating, right? So disconnecting and delegating has been something that has helped me obtain a life and work balance. And I'm still learning it, and it's still getting better. I think you ask my husband, he'll tell you it's gotten better.
Awesome, awesome. I like how you said, we're still a work in progress. So I don't think this is something that's ever, I've perfected it. It's something we're constantly working to do.
Right.
I would encourage, one of the things that was very liberating for me is the fact when I finally accepted the fact that I will never have time for everything. Never.
Mm,
Like, never. So knowing that the important thing to do now is to what is important, what is most important, what is something that I should major on so I don't major on the minor.
mm,
Sometimes that could look like the house is a little messy, but the kids are fed and they're happy.
mm.
Or I took a good nap, so I'm more focused for the
Focus.
next day and I'm more efficient. Those things don't come naturally, but as we practice the importance of what you talked about, I think those things become a little bit easier.
Yes.
Now, Doc, you mentioned something about staying up, doing it after the kids go to sleep and stuff. So we're going to talk about sleep. uh, we know that you need to sleep well, not too much, to improve your overall well-being. Doc, real quickly, are there tips for improving our sleep quality so that it can help improve our well-being?
Yeah. So I've learned to have a cutoff time too. That's when I also add a disconnect. Even after they go to bed, I said disconnect. This is it. I'm done. I'm going to bed. Um, but quick tips, right? We want you to sleep at least a good 7 hours. You start sleeping more than 9, 10 hours, then there may be another problem, right? So like Dr. Tolu said, not too little, not too much. Have a good sleep hygiene, sleep routine. So setting a bedtime and a wake up time has helped me tremendously. My alarm will go off and I go, man, it's already time to wake up. But I will kick myself because then I miss my bedtime. So that means the next couple of days I need to get back on schedule. I remember
Mm.
my residency program director say it takes 3 good nights to make up for one bad night. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how many bad nights do I have to make up? But it's important to set a routine, and your body gets to learn that routine and know that, hey, that the body knows it's time to shut down at a certain time because you've set that routine. And then avoiding, you've heard it before, avoiding electronics, TV, phones right before or while you are in bed, so that you can get your mind to rest. When you sleep is when your brain reconnect and memorizes and all of that good stuff that happens in our brain, and we need to let it shut down and we need to let it rest.
Awesome, awesome. And try to synchronize schedules with everybody else in your house. So that way you're not the one trying to sleep and everybody's trying to do stuff.
That's right.
That's very, very important. My last question before we wrap up, we're going to talk a little bit about social media, just briefly, because we know that studies are showing that there's some effects of social media consumption on well-being. Are there any tips? Because the truth is, I don't want to say we can't isolate ourselves. That's the new age. A lot of things AI, a lot of things electronic now. We're on the WW and different. Even our kids,
Mhm.
we can't have them totally isolated from that because that's the wave of the future.
Yeah.
Doc, are there two or three tips? Because we want to make sure that our well-being is preserved, even though we're exposed to social media. Do you have tips, Doc?
Oh, social media. The
Mm-hmm.
glow, the flowers, the vacations, right? So social media can be detrimental to our well-being, but also to our mental health if we're not careful. We see the glow and we see the glamour, but people will only show you what they want to show you. You never see what's underneath that. And so when we start comparing ourselves to what others have and do because of what we see on social media, we risk not having a well-balanced life. Then depression and anxiety settles in, and it has been proven that teens and even young adults, the rate of mental health sickness has increased because of social media. And so I'll say, just like everything else, a good balance and limiting, right? So you can post, um, but don't don't fall into the trap of comparing yourself with everyone else and every post out there, because the reality is it's not always true. Everything that glows um, is not true. It's not what you see out there. It's not a diamond. And so just be mindful of that when you see posts on social media, and limit the time. Don't spend time scrolling on social media and feeling sad about yourself and about your life.
Awesome, awesome. I like that you mentioned limits. I think Instagram has a timer limit. Mine is 20 minutes a day max, and then it tells me, "Whoa, your time to go."
You said
Um,
20?
Mine is 20 a day on Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah, but Facebook, there's no limits. So,
Wow.
yeah. Let's live it. We got to help ourselves, and I'm not saying don't celebrate other people like Dr. Sandra has said, but how are you feeling when you're watching it?
Yes.
That's a good indicator that maybe you should see less of this, and
Yes.
maybe you should turn it off and go focus on something else. Doc, this has been very rich. We talked about different topics. I'm definitely going to have you come back again.
I would love to.
This has been so good. But I have people who are watching who are like, I like this doctor. I know people in North Carolina who could, no, South Carolina, sorry, that could use a doctor like her. Doc, where can people find you to connect with you? How do you come speak on their platform and the likes?
Yeah, so our office is physically located in South Carolina, but you were not wrong by saying North Carolina in there as well. So we are the Well MD in Greenville, South Carolina, but we also see patients in North Carolina, Georgia, and Indiana. And so we are at thewell-md.com on the website. We are at thewell-md on Facebook, and thewell.md on Instagram. So if you need any information, you are welcome to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
Awesome. I'm putting all of that here. You're also on LinkedIn.
I am just my name as it appears on your screen,
Yeah.
Sandra Luyindula, MD.
Awesome, awesome. So for those who are watching, I'm putting that at the bottom of the screen and also in the comment section, those who are watching on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you again, Doc, for coming. I enjoyed myself. This was fun, and I'm sure our viewers as well did. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And for those of you who have been watching live, I appreciate you. Thank you for the like, the loves. Please, as always, forward this to those who could find it useful and subscribe to our channel. And that way, we're able to pass this good message out on how to improve our overall well being. And on that note, if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough, and a caring family physician who will help you live long and well and have conversations like this to improve your quantity and quality of life, I am she. Thank you all so much. Have a good one.
Thank
Thank you, thank you.
you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.